you have a full-hour class if that's okay with everyone. We don't have a busy schedule. Just keep it going. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we'll take a comfortable seat, draw the shoulders up and away from the ears. Keeping the chest nice and lifted, we'll drop the nose down toward the floor. Eyes closed for soft. Just connecting with the breath, with the state of the body, with our mental state. Trying to drop out of the thinking brain and instead just being aware and sensing the environment around you, the environment within. Starting to lengthen out the breathing, really feeling at the end of the exhale, the belly draws in. The top of the inhale, feel the expansiveness of the lungs, front side, back side, sides of the body. And beginning to get a sense for what you would like to change over the course of practice today. What is it that your being is needing? Just trying to get a sense for where that would be in the body, what that would feel like. It doesn't have to have a label. Just be a sensation or a feeling, a sense of being. And then if you can conceptualize what that place might be, where you want to be going, what are the energies needed to get there? Is it more lightness? Is it more groundedness? Is it open, expansive? Is it solid? Are there adjectives that can describe that new state? What might be the energies that we can manifest to get there? Remembering that the mind can guide the body. The mind can shift our being through intention, through breath, through focus, and through connection. So the better we get at being able to identify the specifics of what we want to change, the easier it is for the mind to make it happen. Like anything else, it just takes practice. So practice here sitting, and you can practice while you're doing the yoga postures. Take a couple more nice full deep breaths here. And then on your next inhale, slowly open the eyes and come back into your space. All right, let's do some neck rolling. Keep the shoulders back and down, or drop the nose down, and then circle with the tip of the nose. Nice big circles. Then we'll pause in that direction and rotate the other way. Nice big circles, slow, steady breathing. And the next time that the nose is toward the floor, we'll pause there and then lift the head. And we're going to look up and down. So we're going to take the nose way up and then the nose down toward the floor, like you're saying yes, like the biggest yes you can. Just kind of feeling out where the endpoints are, where the range of motion is. Keeping everything else in the body nice and soft. And then we'll come back to center and then shake the head no, left and right. So trying to keep the chin and the top of the head in a line and just twisting around the axis of the neck. This one side, the other. See how far over your shoulder you can look. And we'll come on back to center. Let's take the hands to the shoulders and circle with the elbows, nice big circles. And we'll pause that direction, circle the other way. And then release the shoulders. We're going to bring the hands over your head and grab your elbows. If you can grab one elbow with each arm. And if your arms or hands are smashing into your head, see if you can take them a little bit behind the head. So as if your head is going to pop through. Trying to keep the back of the body nice and straight, so we're not hunching, and a roundedness, we're not coming into a back bend. We're lifting up straight up from the tailbone through the top of the head. Keeping those arms and elbows back a bit, back in line with the shoulders. Good. We're going to switch a hand. So try to bring your other hand on top, other arm on top. And then we'll release the arms down. Let's take a turn to the right. Let's go to the right this time. Twisting around the spine, opening the chest. And you'll inhale back through center and exhale to the other side. And inhale back to center. All right, we're going to keep the legs crossed with one leg in front or on top. And then we come on forward here with the sit bones still down. So trying to lengthen out the top of the head, dropping the chest a little lower. Breathing here, just kind of feeling out what are the hips doing today. Inhale, we'll come on back up from there. And then we'll switch the legs, other leg on top or in front. Both sit bones down. When you're ready, we'll come on forward this side. And then go inhale, we'll come on up. All right, we're gonna release the legs and let's come on into hands and knees. All right. For our hands and knees, let's take the hands a little bit forward, spreading the fingers. We're going to bring the hips forward into a half plank pose. The shoulders right over the hands, pushing down into the floor, toning the abdominal muscles, holding here. Exhale, draw the belly in and bring the hips back toward the feet to keep the hands where they are. So coming into sort of a half version of prayer pose. So the hips are pointing back, the hands are in the same position, arms are straight. Lengthening out the arms and into the shoulders. On an inhale, come on forward all the way back in that half plank pose. Exhaling here, pushing down in the hands, breathing, abdominals supporting. On an exhale, take the hips back again toward the feet, lengthening the arms. Keep the hands where they are, just reaching through the arms, the shoulders, the back of the body. And inhale, come on forward again, all the way back through half plank pose. Tuck the toes of your right foot and lift that knee, 3/4 plank pose. Push back through your heel on just the right side. Keep the shoulders over the hands, breathing here. We'll bring the right knee back down into that half plank pose and then take the hips back toward the heels, reach for the arms. On inhale, we'll come back into half plank pose, shoulders over the hands. Tuck the toes of your left foot, push back through that heel, 3/4 plank on this side. Then we'll bring that knee down and take the hips back toward the heels, and still where they were, just reaching through the arms. Inhale, we'll come back into half plank pose. Pause here. I'm going to tuck the toes of both feet, tucking them under. On an exhale, I'm going to straighten the knees, come up into a full plank, 1/2 breath here, and then we're going to bring the knees back down. So bring your knees back down into your half plank pose. So keep those abdominals supported. And when you're ready, on an exhale, lift both knees into a full plank pose, reaching through your heels, the top of the head, and then we'll bring the knees back down. So it's about a half breath to a full breath of holding in full plank, and then bringing your knees back down. We're a half plank, we'll do it one more time. Nice and strong in the arms. On an exhale, pick up both knees, reach back through your heels and the top of the head. One breath maybe. And then we'll bring the knees back down, half plank pose. Work. Elbows in. Let's lower all the way down now to the floor. Then bring your elbows under your shoulders for Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulders, hands shoulder width apart, tailbone down. Draw your shoulders away from the ears, down the back toward the hips, lifting up to the top of the head. You can start to open the neck, or maybe looking up toward the ceiling, so you can get that stretch on the front of the body. You could stay here, but if your back is feeling okay, then spread those fingers wide on the floor and start to straighten the elbows. You'll come up a little bit higher if you do that. Still keep your tailbone down, still keep the shoulders down away from the ears. If you are in the straight elbow version, you can breathe down into your belly. And then we'll bring those elbows back down to the floor in Sphinx pose, shoulders still down the back. From here, let's bend your knees, taking your feet up toward the ceiling. So the thighs are still on the floor, we're just kicking the feet up. You might start to kick the feet in towards your hips. Still opening the chest, drawing the shoulders back. Anything here. So elbows are on the floor here. And then we'll release the feet down to the mat. We'll walk the hands back by the shoulders. Abdominals in, elbows in close. Push up to half plank pose. And then this time all the way back into prayer pose. You can walk your hands back, hips to your heels. Breathing here. And then we'll lift on back up to hands and knees. We're going to work our way into balancing squat. So you can take your knees a little wide, tuck your feet underneath, toes under. You can walk your hands towards your knees and then lift your knees off of the floor. So you want to try and get those knees as high as they will go. You can separate your feet as much as you'd like. And then finding your balance points. Maybe get the hands off the floor and maybe drawing them together at the chest, the shoulders back. Finding your balancing challenge place. Lifting up to the top of the head, trying to make the back side of the body nice and long. Hands can be anywhere that works. Just breathing. And then from here, we'll work our way all the way up to standing. Standing in Tadasana, mountain pose, shoulders back and down, balancing on the feet. Start to rock a little forward and back. So when you come forward, you'll start to lift the heels just slightly. So come on your toes. When you come back, we'll try to lift the toes as you come onto your heels. So I'm just going to rock a little forward and back, just trying to feel across the whole sole of the feet. They're saying if you're rolling onto left or right side of the feet, to try to be really even between the left and right sides of the feet. And then maybe starting to push into your toes when you come forward. See if you can start to lift the heels a little higher, noticing that feeling of like the head coming up toward the ceiling. Just feel nice and long in the body. The ankles aren't rolling, they're nice and controlled. And maybe when you roll backwards, you might be able to get the toe mounds off the floor. Noticing how much tone you need in the legs and the core of the body in order to maintain stability with this motion. And active, strong feet. All right, on the next time that you come up onto your toes, I'm going to try to hold. So you're lifting the head up toward the ceiling, coming up as high as you can on your toes, balancing. It's like somebody's got your hair and they're pulling you straight up, nice and toned in the body. And then with control, we're going to lower the heels back down to the floor. Nice and controlled, little break here. I'm going to take the hands now straight forward, palms toward the floor. So hands, elbows are straight, hands are straight out from your shoulders, palms down. And then do that same thing again. Roll onto your toes and lift straight up toward the ceiling, nice and controlled. Breathing. And slowly lowering back down onto your heels, put those hands out. Good. Let's turn the palms toward each other and take the arms over your head. So shoulder width apart, arms overhead. Notice what that does in your shoulders. Try to keep them back and down, abdominals in. One more time, come up onto your toes. Nice and high, lifting straight up, reaching through the hands, reaching through the top of the head. Breathing. And then we'll slowly lower the heels back down to the floor. And now bend your knees, come into chair pose. So arms still stay overhead, bending those knees, tailbone toward the floor, abdominals in. And now as an option, if you want, lift your heels, starting to come into balancing chair, coming onto your toes with those knees bent. Just an option. You could keep the heels down if it's really not working today. Breathing. Good, and then bring the heels down if they are up. And then that's pushing the feet, straighten the legs, and release the arms down by your sides. Good work. All right, let's come into a back bend. So we'll take the hands to the lower back, fingers toward the floor. Draw your shoulders back and down, tailbone forward, and lift the center of the chest up toward the ceiling. So coming into a back bend. Hips come forward, the further back you go. You can let the head drop back. And abdominals in, and we'll come on back up to center and then reverse into Uttanasana. So keep those abdominals pulling in. Coming forward into our standing forward bend. Letting the head hang down. Lifting the tailbone up toward the ceiling. Upper body soft. And then we'll take a slight bend to the knees, abdominals, and we'll roll on up to standing, like ragdoll style, one vertebrae at a time. Once you're fully up, we're going to step that right foot forward, left foot back for warrior one. Virabhadrasana one, squaring the hips toward the front knee bends, back leg straight, strong feet, strong legs. When you're ready, arms up, warrior one. We're balancing the weight between the feet, keeping the breath in the body, our mind focused on what we're doing and where we're going. What's the goal here? What is it that we're trying to manifest in our being? What's that state that we'd like to have? I'm going to bring the hands together and draw them down to the center of the chest. Keep your shoulders back. Root into your right, your back foot, your left foot, right? Root into that one and lean forward. So I'm going to try and keep that front knee bent, leaning forward while pushing into your back foot. And then around the axis of the spine, we're going to turn to the right. So coming into our revolved side angle pose, twisting around the spine, strong legs. Breathing. On an inhale and unwind back into warrior one, nice and controlled. All right, let's take the hands to the hips. We'll step your back foot forward and your front foot back, switching to the other side. Left knee bends right over your ankle, hips are squared to the front, back leg straight. When you're ready, arms up. Warrior one on this side. Active feet, active legs. Nice, long, smooth breathing. Then we'll bring the palms together at the center of the chest and rooting into your back, but we'll lean forward. So keep that length in the spine. And then around that axis, we'll twist toward the left. Revolve side angle pose. On an inhale, with control, we'll unwind back into warrior one. And release the hands, we'll step the feet together. We're gonna work on tree pose, little balancing posture. Starting standing on your right foot, using any props that you like. Tree pose. Finding that right foot, finding your taproot leg, connecting with earth energy on that side. Left foot comes up, take the knee out to the side and the foot anywhere you like around your standing leg. Toes could be on the floor. Finding where your challenge is today. Maybe the challenge is keeping the breath flowing. Maybe the challenge is those little micro movements in the feet. Finding that sense of calm mind, quiet mind, focused on what we're doing. Now, as we come out of our tree pose, we're going to come into flamingo pose. So try to release that knee and lift it straight forward. Bring in hands, could be anywhere here. Nice. And then we'll slowly lower that foot down to the mat, balancing on 2 feet. All right, let's try the other side. We're going to start in our tree pose. Left leg, grounding leg, right foot comes up, right knee goes out to the side. Any version of tree pose. Trying to keep the mind focused on what we're doing. And if you're finding it too easy, just adding a little challenge to it, maybe looking up or closing the eyes. So it's just enough challenge to really stay present, but we don't want to over challenge such that we cause tension in the body. Finding that edge. And then on our way out, we're going to transition into flamingo. So just lifting that knee. Good. And then you can set the foot down, balance on 2 feet. All right, let's come on down to the mat. I'm going to sit in stack pose. I'm going to have the legs straight forward. So in staff pose, the hands are back by the hips, toes are up toward the ceiling, shoulders are back and down. So it's like you're balancing something on the top of your head. So it's basically sitting as tall as we can. And from here, keeping all that integrity from the waist up, just going to hinge at the hips and leaning forward. So shoulders still back and down, toes still up, leading with the chest. And you can think about from your heels to your tailbone, if there was an isometric motion of the heels pulling back and something sliding underneath of you toward what's behind. So try and take that tailbone back behind, see if that gives you a little bit more length. And then if your shoulders can behave, then you can release your hands. You might reach down for your feet or your legs. So always trying to lead with the heart, and it's like if you're trying to put your head on your feet. So more than the head down onto the legs is more of lengthening. And you touch your forehead to your toes. While you're still leaning forward here, I'm going to take your left hand and try to grab a hold of the outside of your right foot. If you can't reach the foot, then the outside of the shin works as well. So the left hand to the outside of the ankle, heel, or shin. And you can pull on that arm so you start to feel some leverage here that's moving you into a twist. So drop the left shoulder down toward the legs. And push into that hand to start to open the chest toward the right. Open here, take your right hand then onto your right hip and draw the shoulder back. So between the right shoulder drawing back and your left hand pulling on your leg or foot, starting to get a twist around the spine. Still keep lengthening from tailbone to the top of the head, opening the chest out toward that side. On inhale, we'll unwind the twist, coming back into that seated forward bend. So still forward, still lengthening. And I come to the other side. So your right hand then comes to the outside of the foot, ankle, or shin. And then you can pull on that hand, start to give you the leverage there to open the chest toward the left. Left hand on the left hip, drawing the shoulder back, gives you a little more. Trying to open out. Then on inhale, we'll unwind the twist, and then we'll come on back up into staff pose. All right, let's take the feet together for Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And you can pull your feet in, finding that place that feels like a challenge here. Knees just drop open to wherever they want to go. Shoulders back and down and leading with the chest. Any amount here, Adho Konasana. Just kind of noticing what may be going on in the hips, maybe the thighs, where we're feeling it. Maybe it's the back. If it is the back, then try to lengthen more. So tailbone down and head up if you're feeling mostly lower back. And if you're not getting anything from this posture, just maybe trying a little bit of micro breathing or micro movement with your breath. So on your exhale, coming down a little lower. On your inhale, come out half of that amount. And then exhaling down a little lower. So that may be an option too if this is not really challenging you. On the inhale, we'll come on back up to center. We're going to come into a twist here. So keeping the legs where they are, we're going to turn the chest toward the right knee. So try to twist around the spine, try to get the shoulders as square as they will go. And then you're going to start to come over that knee. You may not come as far as you think you could. So again, trying to lead with the chest. You want to try to put the chest on the thigh if it ever got there. And you can rotate your left shoulder down toward the floor. Yeah, so that upper shoulder rotating down. We're going to inhale, we'll unwind the twist from that side. We're going to work our way to the other side. So spurring the shoulders over the left knee as much as they'll go. Starting to drop the chest down toward the thigh. And now that right shoulder rotating toward the floor. Inhale. We'll come on back to center. All right, let's draw the knees in. We're going to come on down onto your back. Starting with the knees bent, feet on the floor. Let's pick up the feet. We'll kick them up toward the ceiling. Both legs straight. You can wrap your hands around the legs, and they might be at the thigh level, it might be shin level, or all the way up towards your feet. I'm going to start to draw both feet over the head. Try to keep the hips down if they're popping up. So try to lengthen out the back. Breathing here. You can draw your toes in toward your nose. So they drop down, pressing through your heels. And if you do have your feet, if you can grab your toes, then that helps even more to be able to pull with your hands and start pushing through your heels. So then still try to keep those hips down and the back long. And then from here, I'm going to hold the feet or the legs here and open them wide into a V shape. And then we'll bring the legs back together again. We're going to release the feet. We're going to bend the left knee and try to bring your left foot onto your right thigh. So you're going to drop it down towards your hips. Try to place your left foot onto your right leg. And then see if you can grab a hold of your right leg over the top of your left foot. So see if you can reach up, grab a knee. If that isn't working, then go ahead and slip the hands through the triangle of your left leg and grab the thigh under the foot. But if you can, see if you can grab a hold of that foot or leg on the right side, starting to pull that in a little closer. And that left knee is going to push away from the body. The right toes, again, dropping down toward the nose, pressing through your heel. Right, if you just got in it, you can keep holding. Otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and release and switch to the other side. So release your left leg straight. Right foot comes in onto your left thigh. And then start to draw that left leg in. See if you can grab a hold of the leg over your foot. And if you can't, then you can grab between through that triangle. And then we'll go ahead and release. Bringing both feet down onto the floor. So we'll bend the knees, feet on the floor. Take the feet about mat width or a little wider apart. Arms out to the side, shoulder down. I'm just going to rock the knees from one side to the other, release them back. And when you feel balanced on both sides, you can work your way into Shavasana, corpse pose. Bring your awareness back to your breathing. Noticing the state of your body, your mind, and your being here at the end of your practice. Deciding if there are aspects here that you'd like to take into your day, or parts that you can come back to during the course of your day. And as you're ready, allowing some movement to come into the body and working your way back up to sitting. And stare at the heart. Thank you all for joining and for sharing your yoga practice. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Get outside if the weather opens up. And I will see you all next time. Namaste.